So I'm Steven here with Following the Nerd, and with me is, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Leo Tan, Manager of Digital Communications for Turbine.
All right, nice to meet you. So where do you see Infinite Crisis going?
So I think actually that's interesting for us. I think we're just finally hitting a point where we're reliable. I think we know roughly how our meta is shaping up, and there are a couple of outlying characters, but generally we're pretty balanced. And I think now we want to work on the onboarding process and just kind of those first few matches of new players coming in, because we get a lot of new players because we have Batman and Superman, and just kind of helping them understand how to play our game a little bit better. And that's definitely going to be a focus for us in the near future.
All right, that's good to know. And how does Infinite Crisis gain a competitive edge in a genre that's been growing every day? I mean, we see League of Legends, we see Lord of the Rings has their own MOBA coming out. So how are you guys going to get that edge in there?
So hopefully we already have some reasons to play. I think for us, our game's identity is, aside from obviously superheroes and supervillains, we have a very fast, aggressive meta. We want you to, if you're going to play a map with lanes, we want you to go in lane, we want you to see your opponent, and we want to clash immediately. Everything that we do revolves around aggression, the manner in which you, and activity. So little things like credits dropping, and they get shared equally between everybody in lane, so there's no such thing as a carrier or support. That just frees up the meta, so you can have two very aggressive people in each lane. And a lot of our identity revolves around that.
Okay, good to know. And why should someone play Infinite Crisis instead of the more mainstream games like League of Legends or Dota 2?
Sure, I guess partly that's in the answer before, but also I think something that's super important for us is, it's one thing to have Superman in your game, but we pride ourselves on our ability to make Superman feel like he should be Superman, and that's not always an easy thing. If you're a fan of Green Lantern and you want to play Green Lantern in the game, we will hopefully our Green Lantern feels like Green Lantern to you, especially if you understand his backstory. You're deeply involved in that character's existence outside of our game as well. And also, we'll have different versions of Green Lantern. So even if our Green Lantern isn't, say you want to play mostly, you want to play like a tanky enforcer type, but our Green Lantern is a blaster, then we'll do another version of Green Lantern, Arcane Green Lantern or Atomic Green Lantern, so we can fill out all the different archetypes.
Okay, good to know. And how are the heroes and villains selected or chosen to appear in the game?
Mostly arguing. So we have I think everybody at Turbine, like 400 people, have their top 100 list. Nobody's is the same as anybody else's. Cuddle Care, creative director, basically somewhat gets to choose, but then it's a combination of things. Like, you got to have Batman and Superman, right? We got to have Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, and then we also want to have a healthy dose of multiverse variants, so Nightmare Batman or Atomic Green Lantern. But we also want to try and find space to have some of the more I'm not sure this is the right word, but niche champions and superheroes and supervillains. So it's just kind of trying to find a balance of making sure that we have kind of equal representation across all those different, if you will, categories of characters. But it's not a simple process. Sometimes DC helps us. Sometimes it's just that time. It was Green Arrow's time. He's on a wave at the moment, so it would make sense for him to appear in the game. But yeah, mostly arguing.
Okay, and what are the challenges in developing new characters and introducing them to the game?
So I think the tough part is, and I mentioned it before as a strength, but making that character feel like that character. Reducing a superhero's entire moveset down to 4 activatable skills, and then those skills, the way they interact with each other and the environment and other players, in such a way that it feels like that champion. And sometimes that can take a long time. I don't think it's ever really worked where we've just, I know how this champion should work, and then we'll build them like that. And we took Superman back to the drawing board, I want to say 3 times. He took a very long time to feel right. So I think that's probably the most difficult part.
Yeah, I can imagine getting Superman right has to be incredibly challenging.
Yeah, I mean, he has so many different abilities, right? He has Frost Breath, Laser Eyes, He's invulnerable, which breaks any video game. He's got the super speed. He's got crazy hearing and awareness. He's got X-ray vision. He's got that thing where he can kiss a woman and make her forget. So he's got a lot going on. So condensing that down and still feeling like the sense of impact that you want with someone who can move that quickly. I mean, he can also fly. So but it not being game breaking was very difficult.
And how often do you take feedback from fans and implement their opinions into the future patches?
All the time. I would say that it's. I don't know if I could give you like a percentage balance, but we read all of our forums. I think maybe we're not good at reacting as quickly as they would like. I think that the development cycle is. I think that a lot of the times our players will like imagine something and then hope we can change it within the next day, and sometimes it takes us a few weeks. But we absolutely listen to everything that they say, and then they tell us directly.
All right, that's fantastic. And how long does it usually take to develop a new character?
I think the process can, from start to finish, is well. The way that it works is we kind of have several phases that they move through, and once a character enters one phase, and like we have the rigging and the animation, and they're like, we can't really introduce other elements till they move to that phase. And sometimes that's really quick, and sometimes it could take between, I want to say, let's say between 6 months to a year it's taken for most of our characters. Sorry, excuse me. And then obviously there are a few outliers that have just taken a really long time to just make sure they feel right.
Okay, and what member of the DC universe would you like to see in the game?
That is an excellent question. I'd like to see more. So it's a bit of a cop-out. I guess I want to see another Superman. We already have 3 Supermans, so that's probably a little bit. We've got Mecha Superman, who's like the big robot. And we have Nightmare Superman, who's like we call him a controller, similar to, you might know it as a support. But I would like to see an assassin Superman. Someone who just kind of appears, and like I guess he would be Nightmare. We do like Arcane Superman maybe. I'd like to see him in the game.
Okay, that would actually be interesting. And how did the idea of Infinite Crisis come to mind?
So the office has a huge amount of DC fans, super fans. Like it's crazy. We were our background actually is PvP. We did as I understand it, the first PvP MMO ever with Asheron's Call back in the day. And we wanted to get back to some kind of PvP game. Lord of the Rings Online and Dungeons & Dragons Online have been great, but have been mostly our story-led experiences. And everyone in the office is playing MOBAs. Like lunchtime, the network goes down, and it seemed like a good fit. I guess we asked DC, and they said yes, you can.
Oh, that's awesome of DC then. And what was the process of making Infinite Crisis into a reality? Once you guys had that idea, what did you guys have to do after that?
Wow, there's a lot in there. I guess it starts with a very small team. Maybe you start with 10 guys who start to flesh out like the general idea for the vision of the game. Working on things like how will we make sure that our characters feel powerful and like superheroes and supervillains. So like picking up cars and throwing them, that sort of a thing. In the beginning, and then we start iterating. We had our own engine, so we were able to get something up and running pretty quickly. And then maybe that early stage could be like a year. And then they're like, we've been in development now for 4-ish years, I think. And just starting to build the team, get prototypes up and running, iterating. It's a very long process with a lot of things going on in there.
And how many people, well, I guess you already answered that. How many people are heavy into comic books in the development team? You said a lot.
A lot. So we have a lot of DC fans. We have a lot of like just general comic fans. Some of them are like, we've got a couple of like guys who know everything, you know, like John Stewart's shoe size, that sort of a thing. If you go over to the Infinite Crisis pit, it's just like wall to wall figurines and comics lying around everywhere. So we have And I think Brent Schmidt is probably, for me, our primary lore keeper. If I need to know anything about any kind of obscure character, I can go to Brent and he's like, oh yeah, in 1983, this character had this interaction with such and such, and lays it out in line, tells me which book I need to go, which comic I need to go to read, to research and find out about that.
Okay, good to know. And how did the Atomic and the Arcane universes come into fruition?
So I'm not sure about the how they came. I think it was more like, so we knew we wanted to do a Nightmare universe because we wanted to put Nightmare Batman in. There was already a fantastic series in which Batman becomes a vampire. We knew we wanted to do Gotham by Gaslight because there was already the Gaslight Batman in that. We're big fans of that story. Sorry, excuse me. So they kind of came from there. I think the Arcane and the Atomic are actually, I don't want to lie to you or make something up. I don't know what the reasons for those were. Mecha universe, robots are cool.
Yes.
So yeah, I would imagine that. I guess magic is also cool, and you have to have a post-apocalyptic universe.
Okay, good. And these next few questions are from the members of the Infinite Crisis. What was it? Infinite Crisis Forever Facebook group. Shout out to you guys. You're awesome. And Kazumi wants to know, with all the various lines of mythos and multiverses in the DC line, does Turbine plan to add gods or just keep it to the more famous characters? Will we also be seeing more city maps or variations of current maps in future releases?
So we have discussed gods. Obviously there are probably there are a few gameplay issues. I think nothing's off the table. The thing that we say is, if you give us enough time, we will produce every champion in every multiverse variant, like 52 versions of each champion, but that could take us that could be several lifetimes worth of work. So we don't announce what we do have coming ahead of schedule. But I would say for the moment, I think we could do with a little more. We're still missing some pretty important characters from the DC world, so we're working on getting those in, and we still want a few more multiverse variants as well. So maybe not gods in the immediate future. As for other maps, a new map in a MOBA is a big deal. Usually a new map is basically a new community. Like, people who play MOBAs tend to play one map, they stick with it over and over. So when you introduce a new map, you either have to populate it with players from your own map or new players. But either way, it can lead to longer queue times. So we're very careful about potentially introducing new maps. That said, we know we need to get Metropolis in. And we would love to be able to announce something soon, but I think probably for the moment it's the three maps that we have they're in a good spot. So yeah, as our community grows, we'll reassess how quickly we can bring in a Metropolis map.
All right, thanks for answering. And Waving Mantisa asks, will the game soon include smart casting separate keys and more sophisticated pings other than just the blue and yellow?
We are making some big strides on our UI right now, our overall accessibility and readability. It's a huge focus for us, and this becomes part of the helping new players to understand how MOBAs work, because they're very intimidating, complex technical things, and so there will be some changes. I'm not sure we at the stage yet where we're ready to announce what they are. I'm not sure we even necessarily know what they all are yet. We're still iterating. I don't think anything will ever be in a final form. We'll always be working on Infinite Crisis. But smart casting specifically, I think there's some we're looking at some revisions. I think our smart casting is in a pretty good place at the moment, actually. Having the option for on press, on release, or not at all is pretty much covers the spectrum. I think there's still a little work we could do with the aiming reticules and the like, depending on which option you're in. We're working on conformity there, and pings. It would be great to have better pings.
Okay, and Rainian wants to know, when will we see Static and Raven?
So I did say that we are working on some important characters that are missing. I can't confirm if Static or Raven are in either of them, but I would imagine they're not. They're on a lot of people's lists. There are a lot of there are some characters, when we talk about everybody's top 100, there are some characters that appear on everybody's top 100. and Static and Raven are popular.
Okay, and then Cryven wants to know, any plans on legendary skins that change animations? Also, will Turbine be at any Canadian events?
So definitely, we definitely have the technology for like better or more elaborate skins. The Arkham Joker already has a different animation, and so we remodeled that. So we would like to do that. I think there's a lot of we're still releasing skins at a pretty fierce cadence. We're usually one a week, maybe like 2 a week at the moment. But there's so much to do that I don't think skins are the major priority. I think that we would, yeah. So, but definitely it's possible, and definitely something that we want to do. Also, it's about finding the right. Like, if someone has a really great idea for something spectacular, then maybe that'll get pushed further forward in the queue. If you have any ideas, please let us know. Come to, we're actually familiar with the Facebook group Infinite Crisis Forever, so drop your stuff there. We probably already read it if you've already asked for something specific. If not, come to our forums and let us know. And then the other question was, sorry, I rambled for a long time.
Also, will Turbine be at any Canadian events?
Canadian events. So, definitely not against it. I am personally not familiar with Canadian events. I'm new to America as well, so we're in France, we're in Germany, we're in the UK, so I don't see why we wouldn't come to Canada at some point. If we do, will you come and meet us? Yeah.
All right, well, thank you very much for the interview. I wish you the best of luck with the game. If you guys haven't already, go ahead and make sure you check out Infinite Crisis. And yeah, if you guys enjoy this, it's another awesome MOBA. Make sure you check it out. And all right, thank you very much.
Thank you.